Good afternoon, folks. This is Robert Chappell, Executive Editor of Madison365 with your daily update for Monday, the 4th of January. Happy New Year to everybody back at work or whatever you're up to today. Appreciate you joining us for a little bit to get caught up on the day's news, including coronavirus news. The news today, the coronavirus news, as they say in academic circles, is not very dispositive. It doesn't tell us much. Simply because, hold on a second, sorry. I'm going to get rid of this. Only because there just there aren't very many tests being reported. Like, that's been the case for a while, but today is really low. 3,900 tests. Like, we need to, to really know what's going on, we need to be in at least over 12,000 every day. We got 3,900 today. I mean, we have more tests than that, but those are the new results that we have today, 3,900. We do have, obviously, a few thousand tests beyond that are repeat tests on people that have already tested negative. So those aren't included in that number, but still, 3,900 isn't enough to really know much. And the fact that we have 1,407 new cases today doesn't tell you much either. Except that, 35%, 36% of those new tests today are positive, which is really pretty high. Now, despite that relatively low number of new cases, 1,400, the 7-day positive test rate is continuing to rise. The rate for all tests over the past 7 days, all tests that have been done on the repeat tests as well as the new tests, 10.7% of those have been positive. That's basically the same as it's been for 4 days. It's been either 10.8 or 10.7 for the past 4 days, and before that it was 10.3, and before that it was 9.2, which means that number it's a high number. Basically about 1 out of 9 people who are, not 1 out of 9 people, 1 out of 9 tests is turning up positive. We need that to be 1 out of 50. Okay. 1 out of 100 would be even better. 1 out of 9 is not good. But also the fact that, 8.9, 9.2, 8.2 is still high, but back when it was like 8.1, about a week and a half ago, at least it was going down every day. And there was a sense that maybe it would keep going down until it got to 2 or 3%. But now it's going up. We don't like that. Similarly, the rate for all people tested, meaning everybody tested in the past 7 days, no matter how many times those people were tested, 31.5% of the people tested positive. That was 31.0 yesterday. Now, one of the things about using a 7-day average is that it's supposed to smooth out the spikes, right? You're not supposed to get a big jump of 0.5% or more in a day, but we did today. 31.5% of people tested over the past week tested positive. That's very bad news. It's particularly bad because it was, that rate was 24.2 a week and a half ago. It was 24.0. Not, the day before that. So right now at 31.5, it's the highest it's been since December 4th. It peaked just before Thanksgiving at about 35 and a half. So we're getting to that point again, which means it's very possible that number is slightly inflated because the testing is so low that the only people being tested are those who are more likely to be positive. Might be that. Or it might also mean that once in the next week or so, as testing ramps up, we're going to start to see those big numbers of cases again. So that, brace yourself for that. That's very possible. Now, as we go along here, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below, and we'll try to get to them. So a couple of the numbers to throw at you. Those are basically the bad news numbers, right? The number of active cases is just over 26,000, which is slightly lower than yesterday. So we like that. We like the fact that the active cases are going down. About 5.4% of every case we've ever had is currently active, which that's a relatively low number. That's okay. Like that number is fine. That was over 20% in November. So total cases to date is rapidly approaching 500,000. We are now past 400. We're basically at 488,000 right now. So within probably, I would imagine this week or the next 10 days, we will pass 500,000 confirmed cases, which would be about 10%. Well, no less than the state of Wisconsin population is about 5.8 million. So 580,000 would be 10% of that, right? So 500,000 still feels like a milestone, though. We also reported 9 deaths today. So the total death toll is now 4,884. Now, again, we will start to see more deaths reported tomorrow and Wednesday, and I'm kind of bracing myself for that. That might be a very big number. It might not be a big number, but it might be a big number because we saw such a steep drop-off in deaths reported over the weekend, holiday weekend, of course. On Saturday, we only saw 1 fatality. Yesterday, we saw 5. Today, we have 9. Those numbers are not in keeping with where we were right before Christmas. Now, we also know that these are deaths that have taken place over the past 4 to 6 weeks. So there's no reason to believe that people started dying less right around Christmas. It's purely a matter of the personnel time to certify those death certificates, to get the death certificates uploaded to the right databases, to get them examined, certified as COVID fatalities. That has not been happening very much over this past 10 days or so just because of the holidays, which is fine. Not a complaint. But as those offices get back up and running again, as the public health departments in the counties ramp up, return to normal staffing levels, I would expect to see more of that certification happening. I would expect tomorrow, Wednesday, maybe Thursday, could be very high death counts. It's also possible that they'll be slightly higher, but not crippling, not too bad. So we'll see. Fingers are crossed. I also want to mention one thing about Dane County. If you live in Dane County, you saw over 200 new cases today. But we've noticed since Saturday, we actually emailed them on Saturday to ask about this, because we noticed that the state Department of Health Services was reporting about 200 more cases in Dane County than Dane County was. And we thought, is that an error on one side or the other? Will these numbers catch up with each other at some point? We don't know. So I emailed them on Saturday, and I finally heard back today that it's related to an outbreak in a prison. They didn't say which one, but we think it is the Oregon Correctional Facility outside of Oregon, Wisconsin, in southern Dane County. The reason we think that is we did our Dane County coronavirus map that we do every week, and Stephanie was doing the data, and she said to me, and this is yesterday, she said, "What's in Oregon? Why is there a big spike in Oregon?" And I said, "Well, there's a prison. Maybe it's that." And then today, I get an email from PHMDC, Public Health Madison-Dane County, saying, the state has roughly 200 more cases than Dane County does, because there's a big outbreak in a prison in Dane County, and because that's a state facility and the state is running those tests, the reporting is basically backwards in those cases. where they test the people in the correctional facility, and they put that data into the state database first, and then it makes its way back to the county. So we would expect to see, and we've been seeing about 200 new cases a day just in the normal course of things in Dane County. And then at some point in the next couple of days, we're going to add those couple hundred cases from that prison. So we're going to have a day pretty soon here in Dane County with 400 or 500 new cases, many of which are, would have been about a week old by then because they're from that prison. But there's a massive outbreak in what it appears to be the Oregon Correctional Facility, which is bad news. Right. Yes, Carmela. It could be Oak Hill too. That's true. Carmela mentions it could be Oregon, it could be Oak Hill. It is a state. All they told us it's a state Department of Corrections facility that's located in Dane County. So it could in theory be Thompson over in Deerfield, but the cases surging in Oregon makes it seem like it's either Oregon or Oak Hill. Thank you, Carmel, for that. That is, I believe that's all the coronavirus information I have for you today. Oh, one more thing for coronavirus. Sorry. Hospitalizations again. 53 more today. I should say there's not just 53 people hospitalized today, but the current hospitalized population has gone up by 53. It went up by 51 yesterday. It is now 1,122. You'll remember that was over 2,400 at one point in November, and has been going down ever since. With the exception of like one day it'll go up by like 10 or something, and then it'll keep going back down. So the fact that it's still 1,122 is okay, not critical. The fact that it's gone up by 100 in the past 2 days, I don't like that at all. The ICU population is now 231, which is 6 more than yesterday. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep our fingers crossed that turns around again. But it's looking to me, now you remember, we did not see a really, really big post-Thanksgiving spike. And I suspect one of the reasons we didn't see that big Thanksgiving spike was that the numbers before Thanksgiving had already started to turn a little bit. People had already started to behave differently. Secondly, there just wasn't a lot of testing happening since Thanksgiving. Going all the way back to post-Thanksgiving is when the testing started to go down. So it's possible that there has been a big post-Thanksgiving spike. We just didn't really see it because there wasn't that much testing. It feels to me like we are beginning to see another post-holiday surge already. There has been more testing in the sort of the period between Thanksgiving or Christmas and New Year's. We did see longer lines at the testing centers. Okay, we don't have all that reflected in the data yet, but it seems to me that there's more testing kind of happening right now, even though it's not being reported as much. But the testing is going to ramp up, and it feels to me like this with the hospitalizations going up, with the positive test rates going up. Those two numbers sort of in tandem signal to me that we might be at the beginning of another surge. So everybody stay vigilant, right? There's a vaccine around the corner. It's not here yet. It's here technically, but it's not really being deployed widely yet. Don't let your guard down. Okay? Keep ordering your food, keep staying home, whatever. So, but it seems, like I said, it seems to me like there's the beginning of another surge. Margie asked, this is a good observation. The legislature is in session, finally, for the first time like ever. That it's they got sworn in today. The Democratic side got sworn in virtually the other day. A couple of the new incoming Democratic legislators got sworn in today outdoors, but the Republicans were there inside, some with masks, some without, getting sworn in today. And they're asking that the Capitol be open. The legislature cannot open the Capitol. That's a good question, Margie. The legislature cannot open the Capitol. It's the Department of Administration. but the legislature has passed a bill or is proposing a bill or something, basically a resolution asking for the Capitol to be opened. Some Democrats in the Senate want to add something to that would require masks. I believe, the way I read it, the original Republican proposal would not require masks in the Capitol. But some Democrats want to do that. And I would imagine that the DOA is not going to open the Capitol to the public. I think some legislators are requiring their staff to work in the Capitol, and some isn't. But again, the legislature doesn't actually have that authority. They can ask it to be open, but they can't actually open it. So I don't anticipate the Capitol opening to the public anytime soon. Okay, thank you for that. We're going to take a short break. We're going to have a word from our sponsor for today, which is Madison College. And I'll be back right after this with some other non-coronavirus news.
Online learning does not have to be scary. And Madison College was there for me.
We have people that are dedicated to our students' online success.
We can help you with your technology. Give us the college try for 7 days. No risk, no worries. Madison College.
Sorry about that. Just realized I was muted still from the video. J.L. Curry is a candidate now for the 16th district in Madison. Michael Tierney, who is the current alder, announced that he was not going to run for re-election. And now there are 3 candidates to replace him. J.L. Curry is one of them. Tyson Vitale is another, and Greg Dixon is the third. We're working on profiles of those other folks, but J.L. is the first one that we were able to get a profile of. And she is the housing director for the YWCA, which we talked about yesterday, getting that nice little grant from Mackenzie Scott for their housing program. So Jael was probably in a good mood about that. But in that role, she's really had to navigate a lot of like city regulations, city committees, city financing, that kind of stuff. And her quote to us was that she feels an ethical call to run for office, to try to make change and impact people in that way. So Mackenzie Crum wrote that profile this morning. I would commend that to you. Take a look at that. Get to know Jael, especially if you're in District 16, because you want to be informed and an informed voter. Also today, Dave Dahmer just put this on the site that there's news coming with regards to Jacob Blake. We don't know when it's coming. We know it's coming very soon. There will be a decision on what to do about Rustin Chesky, who is the police officer that shot Jacob Blake in the back 7 times. You remember this happened late August. Jacob Blake survived the shooting, but is paralyzed. And that sparked protests in Kenosha and really around the country. That is what the impetus for the NBA shutting down, because the Milwaukee Bucks decided they didn't want to play that day or that week. And all sorts of other sort of movement stuff around Kenosha. The DA down there in Kenosha, along with Josh Call, the Attorney General, brought in former Madison Police Chief Noble Ray to go over the case file, to make some recommendations on what the response should be, whether there would be charges filed against the police officer. Now, in anticipation of that announcement, which we expect to come any day now, the businesses in Kenosha have been like boarding up their windows and stuff. The Kenosha Police, Kenosha County Sheriff have been kind of getting ready. And today the governor announced that he's activating the National Guard. So the local law enforcement down there will have 500 National Guard members available to support their law enforcement efforts. We saw that same kind of thing happen in Madison in June. So, there's some trepidation, there's some worry that if the announcement is no charges, that the people will be upset and will protest. And it might get a little bit rowdy, you might say. So that's the news for today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday. And watch tomorrow morning. We'll have another episode of It's Only 10 Minutes. And Wednesday we'll have Finding the Warmth of Our Sun, which is Matthew Broggin's podcast. So watch for that. We will be keeping an eye on the Georgia Senate race, which is always exciting. The sort of the balance of the United States Senate hangs on that election on Tuesday. So we'll be watching that for you as well. In the meantime, have a wonderful evening, and we will see you again tomorrow afternoon.
This is 365 Media.